Hello out there. Welcome to everything you need to know about Mage Knight board game. This is part 7. At this point I want to talk about the skills that your Mage Knight is going to have. Now I explained earlier on this Fame and Reputation board how you gain a new skill when you go from an odd numbered level to an even numbered level. And I said that what you do is you take the first 2 skills off the skill deck, the skill stack that you have here, which is these 10 skills randomly assorted, shuffled, and then put into a stack. You're going to flip over the top 2, you're going to choose one, and then you're going to use that one. That's going to be yours. It's going to go over here in your player area. The other one's going to go up here in the common skills offer. I said that if you have somebody else's skills in the common skills offer, you can choose to take that skill in lieu of your own, and you'll just discard both of your skills into the common skills offer. The only 2 catches to that are any skills in the common skills offer that you've discarded in a previous turn, in a previous round, you no longer get. Once you've discarded it, you don't get to take it back at a later time. You can only use the common skills offer to get one of your skills back. The other thing is that if you choose to discard both of your skills and only take somebody else's skill from the common offer, you can only take the bottom advanced action from the advanced actions offer. So you're limited on what advanced actions you can take, and we'll cover that when we go into advanced actions on the next video. But first I want to take a look at what exactly these skills are. Now everybody, all 4 Mage Knights, are going to get a movement skill. I want to also begin by saying that you notice this is the color red. So Arithia's skills are going to give her the ability to handle wounds because she has the energy of fire. She's going to be able to use fire attack and siege fire attack and ranged fire attack. She's going to be able to manipulate mana. She'll be able to get red crystals and things like that. So she doesn't mind getting wounded, and she's looking for red. Her other option instead of red is white. So keep that in mind as you get these skills. Also, you're only going to have 5 skills at the most per game, because once you get to level 9, or rather once you get to level 10, you take your 5th skill. And that's a maximum, because you may actually take somebody else's skill from the common skills offer, which means you're using less than 5 of your own skills. So keep that in mind. But you want the 5 best that are working with the cards that you're acquiring through the game, so that these skills have synergy and work alongside the other things that you're adding in the game, whether it's crystals, mana tokens, whatever. So first of all, we have a movement skill. And these first 6 skills, rather 7 skills I'm going to talk about, are at will skills. These are skills you can do every turn. You do this skill and you turn it face down. This skill is called Dark Paths. It's going to give you 1 point of movement during the day. In night rounds, it gives you 2 points of movement, and that's every round, or every turn. That's really useful because movement can be a hassle trying to come up with it. This says if you're trying to move to an adjacent tile, whether it's a city or whether it's plains, at nighttime you basically get to move there for free. So that's really, really important. We talked last video about how to stack movement cards. So you'd have 2 or 3 cards that give you movement that you'd play alongside each other in a column. You just stick this skill on top of those cards, and that would add to your movement. Would give you another move point if it's a day round, another 2 move points if it's a night round. Dark Paths, very, very useful skill to have. Now Arithia's going to get some influence, but she's going to have really low reputation. So if she's going to be recruiting units, she needs all the help she can get, and that's where this skill comes in. Dark Negotiation. Dark Negotiation gives her 2 points of influence during the day, 3 points of influence at night, and once again, you can use these skills once a turn. So every turn, she gets 2 influence if it's a day round, 3 influence if it's a night. She has 2 attack skills, and like I said, she has the energy of fire. So every turn she gets, with this skill called Hot Swordsmanship, she gets either 2 points of attack or 2 points of fire attack. Depending on the situation, she may want fire attack, and we'll cover elements later, but she gets her choice of 2 points of attack or 2 points of fire attack with this skill, Hot Swordsmanship. This skill right here is called Burning Power. This gives her 1 point of attack, 1 point of siege attack, or 1 point of siege fire attack. So during the ranged and siege attack, if she needed to generate siege attack, this gives her an extra point. If she's facing an enemy that has physical resistance and she needs to use fire attack, she can use 1 point of siege fire attack. We're going to go through detailed combat so you'll see when you want physical attack, when you want ice attack, when you want fire attack. It'll make sense later. But this is an extra bit of siege attack which she can use if she has this skill, which is called Burning Power. Okay, I said before that you can play any non-wound card sideways to give you +1 attack, +1 block, +1 influence, or +1 move. This is a wound card. As you can see, it has the same back as the others, so you won't know what it is until you've drawn it into your hand. A wound card cannot be discarded at the end of your turn. This is a deck builder, and you have a hand limit. So having this wound is going to work against your hand limit. It's going to limit you, and it clogs up your hand. Basically reduces your hand by 1 for every wound that you have. You also lose points for having this at the end of the game. Arythea does not mind getting wounded, and I'm going to show you 3 reasons why. The first one is this skill right here called Power of Pain. Arythea can play this card sideways to give her attack 2, move 2, influence 2, or block 2. Just as you could play a non-wound card sideways for +1, this gives you +2 if you're Arythea and you have this skill. You can only do this with 1 wound per turn, and at the end of your turn you would discard this instead of having it in your hand. So it doesn't clog up your hand after it's been in there for a turn if you use this power, which again is called Power of Pain. But you couldn't use the same wound on the next turn to do that because you'd have to discard it. Our next skill right here is called Invocation. This is a really good skill. Arythea likes to have spells for a very important reason. Spells cast at nighttime can have a stronger effect if you have their basic color and black mana. And Arythea is really good at producing black mana, and here's why. Invocation allows her to discard a wound, which again you normally can't discard a wound, but Arythea can with this skill, Invocation. She can discard a wound to get either a red mana token or a black mana token. So she'd be able to use red mana that turn if she has a wound that she can discard. Or if she needs black mana to charge a spell and get its higher effect, she can discard a wound to get a black mana. Note, you can only do this once a turn, so you can only discard 1 wound, and you can only get either red or black mana. She could also discard a non-wound card to get either a green mana token or a white mana token. And Arythea is going to be getting a lot of white cards, so it's important that she uses this and gets that white mana. Again, that's called Invocation. That's a very cool spell to have, but not as cool as this one. This spell is called Polarization. Basically, with this one, once a turn, you can use the mana opposite this color. So you'd use red when you could use blue, you'd use blue when you could use red. White becomes green, green becomes white, and here's where it gets really cool. Gold and black are interchangeable. So you could use black mana during the day. You could use black mana during the day for any basic color, and you could use gold mana at night to charge the stronger effect of a spell. So white becomes, or gold becomes black, black becomes gold. Very cool to have. Now we get into the 3 daily powers. These can only be used once per round. Once you flip this face down, you don't flip it back up until the beginning of the next round. The first one we have is Dark Fire Magic. Now this skill, if you flip it, you get 1 red crystal to your inventory. So that's a crystal you could use. You have it there until you want to use it. And you get both, or your choice of a red mana token or a black mana token. That's excellent. You get a red crystal and either a red mana token or a black mana. Now you could use this red crystal that turn. So if you have a red spell that you want to play and you don't, and it's night, you can flip this and you'll get both red and black to charge the higher effect of that spell. Very cool. Now this one I'm only going to introduce once because all 4 players have this one. This is called Motivation. Motivation, you flip this face down, you can draw 2 cards. You do this on somebody else's turn. So on somebody else's turn, whenever you want to, you flip this face down and you get to draw 2 cards. If you are the person with the least fame, you get a mana of your basic color. In the case of Arythea, she gets red. And you take that, you get red mana, and any of the other Mage Knights would get a mana of their basic color. But you can only do 1 motivation skill once a turn. So if you go to the common skills offer and get somebody else's motivation, and you have your motivation, you can only use your motivation once per turn. You can't do it until the end of your next turn. So those are Arythea's 10 skills. Oh, one other one. This is called an interactive one. This one with the black skull here, everybody has an interactive skill. This one is called Healing Ritual. This allows her to throw away 2 wounds. And by throwing away, I mean that she doesn't have them, she puts them back. She can take 2 wounds out of her hand and get rid of them, so she doesn't have them anymore. One of them goes to the player closest to her on the map. So she gives the wound to somebody else. It goes into their hand. Now they're stuck with it. The other one she throws away, assuming she has 2 wounds she can get rid of. After she's done that, she flips this face down. She can't do it again the rest of the round. Until next time. So those are Arithia's 10 skills. Again, she's only going to be able to get 5 skills during the game, but this is the selection that she would get. She could also take somebody else's skills from the common skills offer, most likely white. She likes white if she can't get red. Remember that. Next we have Tovok. Tovok is very easy to explain. Tovok has 10 skills. The first one is also a movement skill. It's called Double Time. This gives him 2 points of movement during the day, 1 point of movement at night. He has 2 attacking skills. Night Sharpshooting, which gives him 1 point of ranged attack during the day, 2 points of ranged attack at night. And Cold Swordsmanship, that gives him 2 points of attack or 2 points of ice attack. For defense, because he likes to defend, he likes to block, he has Resistance Break. Now some of these enemies, like I've indicated, are going to have possibly physical resistance, ice resistance, or fire resistance, which means that if you use an attack of this type, its efficiency is going to be cut in half. Well, he can take advantage of that if he has this ability called Resistance Break, because for each resistance that the enemy has, their armor is reduced by 1 point. There are some enemies that have all 3 resistances, and it's really, really, really useful to have this because that reduces them. If they have all 3 resistances, lowers their armor by 3. That's very, very important. Next we have Shield Mastery. Shield Mastery gives 3 points of block, or 2 points of fire block, or 2 points of ice block. And this can work with the other block skills that he has. So if Tovok is going to play Cold Toughness and get that ice block, he can use this and get 2 more ice block, which can be really, really efficient. We have some really, really cool skills involving discarding wounds and playing cards sideways, so I'll show those really quickly. The first one I want to talk about is called Who Needs Magic? This is if you don't want to take a mana die from the source. If you don't think you need a mana die, you can play Who Needs Magic. You can play a card sideways to give you +2 instead of +1. And if you don't use a mana die from the source that turn, you actually get +3 for playing that card sideways. That's a non-wound card. Next we have one called I Feel No Pain. I Feel No Pain allows you to discard a wound card and then draw a card to replace it. So if you have a wound and it's clogging up your hand, you can discard it and just draw a card to replace it. I Feel No Pain is a very, very useful one. And then finally we have this one called I Don't Give a Damn. Excuse my language, that's what it's called. I don't mean to curse, that's the name of the skill. I Don't Give a Damn, once a turn, allows you to play a card sideways to get +2 instead of +1. And if it's a deed card that you get during the game, an advanced action or a spell or an artifact, and I'll explain those in the next 3 videos, you can play it sideways for +3 instead of +2. A very, very useful card to have. Finally, Tovok also gets his own copy of Motivation. He can get a blue mana token if he has the least fame, and he gets this skill called Mana Exploit. Once a round, choose a color other than gold and gain a mana token of that color. Put the skill token in the center and mark it with a second token of that color. Until the start of your next turn, other players get a wound when they use mana of any other color on their turn. Limit 1 wound per color for each player. If they use gold, count it as the color it's used for. Then take this token back and flip it, because you can only do this once a round. Those are the skills for both Arithia and Tovok. I'm going to stop now. And by the way, Tovok also, if he can't get blue, he likes red. Remember, red is his second favorite color. He would also like to get some of Arithia's skills if he can't get his own skills. I'm going to stop there. When I come back in the next video, we'll talk about Goldix and Norawas and their various skills. So I hope you enjoy. Please come back for the next part. Until then, GLHF, good luck, have fun.